Hey, listen, I want to tell you something really important right now. I actually bought this thing with money. Now you may be thinking, so what? Good for you? But there's a very important reason that I'm telling you this. Because a lot of people on this very website seem to get these with money. And I'm not talking about them being around as advertisements in everyone's videos like some other brands. No, I'm talking about something way sneakier. Sponsored videos. And the thing is that I just trust a sponsored video less, as it kind of makes people say and do different things. Like, for example, driving fast in a school zone, which, as you can see right here, was actually sponsored. If you go to this thing right here, look, that's this very camera. And if we now scroll down to the description, look at that. Thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video. Now, I'm not here to nitpick on one single channel, but when I was looking around for information about this very thing, basically every single video that I would find would in some way be sponsored, which generally isn't a really good sign. You see, a lot of marketing can kind of make up for a bad product. So when I see all of the influencers pushing one single thing, I just don't trust it. That said though, this right here does look like an interesting camera, and I'm kind of a sucker for interesting cameras, so why don't we take a look at this Insta360 X3 360 action cam. What even is a 360 action cam? Well, unlike a regular camera, which only captures out of that bit, a 360 camera is supposed to capture all around it, which, as we can see right here on the box, that kind of just looks like a normal picture. So why don't we just crack the box open and see what's inside? Fortunately, this thing is like one of those iPhone boxes, which looks really pretty, but is like an absolute idiot to take out. Thank God it's not something expensive in here that could break or something. Well, there we have it. That's an action camera with a lens protector, which, yeah, you go on there right now. Now we also have a little USB-C cable. We have some manuals, and then we have a cloth. So basically nothing really too interesting other than the camera. I'm really curious to see what the 360ness will look like. Like, will it look completely different from your standard phone screen? Well, that's just like one lens, right? Not seeing anything here. Maybe if we just record something. Maybe now the 360ness will come to life. Okay. It's not really doing anything. Whoa. Okay, now I'm seeing this one. But can I go and see myself? That's me. That is me, and I'm sitting right here. Kind of here. Like, there is no real lens here. That's my hand holding it, and if I can move around, you can see the monitor, you can see the light, you can see the other camera. Is this actually useful? Or just kind of a useless gimmick? Well, after using this thing for almost a year now, I can tell you the answer to that is a very clear, strong, and definite: it's complicated. Especially if you're not intending to use this in any form of professional video production. Which, I know, it's hard to call this anywhere near professional, but just for personal use, I feel like this camera's closest comparison is this thing right here, which I'll give you a moment to figure out for yourself. But this right here is a camcorder, or a handy cam, as it's called. It's one of those old tiny cameras that either you or your parents used to have around the turn of the century. As you can see, this thing right here is kind of big and chunky to hold. So what you kind of end up doing if you're trying to shoot with this thing is that you have to like lock your wrist like this to stop it from shaking. And no matter what you do and how much pain you incur, you'll always end up with very wobbly, shaky footage. That wobbly, shaky footage will be stored right here on, poof, a tape. Now the thing about these tapes is that this camera will sometimes get hungry and decide to eat the tapes. Which, if you don't know what that means, be glad that you don't know what that means. However, despite all its flaws and things that it's losing right now, this thing right here is absolutely precious. Because through this tiny little screen that you have right here, you can be teleported back to a time when all your family and friends were much younger, enjoying happy times. And oh boy, if you find this thing when you're feeling particularly nostalgic and you go through the tapes, it's like the best thing in the world. And like anything that's ever been made, these things do have a lifetime, of which most of them are getting towards the end of it. So if you haven't backed any of these up, this right now is your moment to do it. Now, aside from all the nostalgia stuff, one of the major flaws of this camera is that it will never put you entirely into the past. And that's exactly where this thing comes in. What this thing does is that it actually puts you right there in the room with your family and friends, which is just, oh, we should probably go and experience that right now. So what I'm gonna do is just take this tripod, let's go turn it on, and then let's place it right here next to me. Go take this VR set over here, and then for the magic of editing, I'm gonna be able to watch exactly what is around me right now. What you're looking at right now is my viewpoint in this 360 recording, which may take a little bit of getting used to. Because, you know, as you can see, I'm kind of looking around everywhere, which may feel very wobbly to you at this point in time. However, you kind of got to realize that that's basically how we humans are. When you're in a room, you're not just on a stand somewhere. You're kind of standing in that room and looking around. I may look at you sometimes because we're talking, but oftentimes I get distracted because, oh look, there's something over there. Oh look, there's something over there. Oh, maybe I just want to kind of look at the ground. Or maybe I'm going to look at you again. It's something that's kind of very natural. Now, I have to say that VR really magnifies this effect. I can just get completely lost in some of these videos and just look at new details that I haven't seen before. But even if you don't have VR, if you can just go to like a YouTube video right here, just being able to go look around and see the streets and look around, and it's so cool. I love how it can take you back to moments that you weren't like capturing intentionally, showing you things that you may not even remember all that well. Just like how you may not remember all that well that I said that my feelings on this thing were rather complicated. So let's get into that now. Because all of this amazing stuff does come at a rather high price. Starting out with this camera, which I bought for 400 euros, but the newest one is almost 600. Then what you have is that if you want to experience this thing in VR, you know, a headset like this is rather cheap, but if you want to have a proper VR headset, that's also going to cost you a couple $100. What's this? A 5.7K capture? Huh, I'm sure that the image quality on this thing will be great, and the file sizes will be even greater. So if I want to work with any of this footage, I'll probably need a super strong computer, probably throw in a hard drive as well, because these file sizes, I'm not kidding, they're like 1 gigabyte per minute of footage. What phones will be capable of handling that? As you can see, this thing of having 360 footage is becoming kind of expensive. And it's because of that that this camera reminds me so much of these camcorders right here, where both these cameras are capable of recording some very special moments and then bringing you back to those very important memories later on. But then they do that in kind of a clunky format, which you can't really easily share around. And because of that, you won't really be having these cameras on you all the time, which means that it's very likely that if something does occur that you want to record, you'll probably grab back to a far more accessible camera rather than one of these. Because of this, I don't think this camera is all that useful to you if you're not really a video nerd who's willing to deal with all these obstacles. But what if you are a video nerd? Oh, well, let's go talk about my camera and how you may have already seen it in one of my specials, because one of the things that you can get for this camera is this selfie stick, which doesn't sound all that interesting at all. But hold on. This right here is a long selfie stick. Like, grab this end, okay? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go give that to you, and we're just gonna go out and extend this thing, and extend this thing, and extend this thing. This right here is a 3-meter long selfie stick. And the reason why it's this long is because I can put the camera right here on this end, and then put it very high in the sky. And because this camera kind of deletes the stick right here, it looks like a drone shot, which can be super handy when trying to film in places where you normally wouldn't be allowed to fly a drone, like above a crowd of people. Also, it's the absolute definition of a set it and forget it camera. Like this thing, during my cycling special, I would just mount it like right this on my steering wheel, and it would capture everything in front of me, and it would capture me as well. So if something were to happen during the trip, I wouldn't have to worry about did the camera catch it, because it caught both angles. Combine that with an absolutely insane battery life, like I'm talking recording a 45-minute drive and the battery still being above 80%. I don't know how it does that, which makes it that during recording, you'll love this camera. And during editing, you'll hate it. During editing, you have to worry about everything. Like I'm talking every single movement of the camera, where it's looking. If you ever decide to record a 4-day vacation entirely with this thing, you'll come to have interesting conclusions about it. Conversations between 4 people. Also, the quality of this footage isn't all that great. Yes, it is 5.7K, and for the newer ones 8K, but that is for the entire picture roll around, where for normal videos, you're just gonna take a small little bit of it, which won't be 5.7 or 8K. All in all, I think that the 360 idea is a great idea that is kind of limited by the technology of our time. Whenever it works, the 360 stuff is just so immersive. Like, I wish I could stream with this thing, because it just feels like you're standing right next to me in the place. It's like, it's right there. But again, because this thing right here is like a weird form of media, most streaming sites don't really accept it. Twitch won't do it, YouTube will, but if you want to do it via YouTube, you'll have to use the app, which I started like right 5 minutes ago, and only now it's showing up, and yeah, you're getting pop-ups and extra stuff, and it really is a camera that is magical when it works, which is only some of the time. So if you need it for those some of the times, or if you just like fiddling about with new technology and stuff, then this camera is great. Otherwise, it can really become that one-time use gimmick that only really looked cool in the influencer videos. I would say if you want to have a more well-rounded camera, then why not check out the GoPro that I covered in a different video. Even though this right here is a much smaller action camera than this thing, God, it does look very much like this is just 2 GoPros stapled together. Anyway, this camera right here doesn't have the 360ness that this thing has, but it does have a very wide angle lens, which makes this like a really great camera if you have no experience in video making. Because if you just hold it up like this and you're just looking at something, it will capture it. And it records all of that in much more manageable files, which if you just want to put together like a quick and dirty vacation video, you can just put them all back to back to back to back back. You have a fun video right there, whereas this one, you're gonna have to do more work. So that's basically all about the Insta360 X series. This right here is the X3, although they just came out with like an X5, which has got better quality and replaceable lenses, but I think the same principle still applies. Also, this company right here, it's not Instagram. I thought that this was like the Insta360. It's like the Instagram 360, but that's not it. It's a completely different company. That's it though. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.